When you've been married for 15 years, you start to believe you know the person sleeping beside you. You share routines, secrets, laughs, and tears. You believe the bond is unshakable. That's why her words that evening shattered me more than anything I had faced before. We were sitting at the dining table, the leftovers from dinner still between us. She looked different somehow, calmer, as if she had already made peace with something I hadn't even discovered yet. "I need to tell you something," she began, her hands folded neatly in front of her. My stomach tightened instantly. The tone wasn't casual. It was final. I braced myself, but nothing could have prepared me for what followed. She looked me directly in the eye and said, "I'm going back to my ex. I never really loved you." Her words hit me like a hammer. I froze, my mind racing. 15 years together. 15 years of building a life, raising kids, sharing dreams. All dismissed in one cold sentence. My first instinct was to demand answers, to ask her why, to beg for clarity. But I didn't. I just nodded. Maybe it was shock, maybe it was dignity, but I stayed quiet. She seemed unsettled by my silence. She probably expected an explosion, anger, shouting, accusations. Instead, I gave her nothing. Just a nod that said, "I heard you." Inside, though, my chest was burning. Memories of vacations, anniversaries, late-night talks, they all flashed before me, each one now tainted by her confession. "I never really loved you." That sentence looped in my head. Was every hug, every kiss, every "I love you" over the years a lie? The thought made me sick. I didn't argue. I didn't try to stop her. Because in that moment, I realized something. If she truly meant what she said, then nothing I did could change her mind. So I stood up, cleared my plate from the table, and walked away. She stared at me, almost confused, as though my calm reaction was more shocking than if I had broken down. That night, I lay awake in bed while she packed a small bag. I didn't ask where she was going. I didn't even say goodbye. I simply turned my back and stared at the ceiling. The silence between us was deafening, but I refused to give her the satisfaction of watching me fall apart. If she thought she could crush me with her words, she was mistaken. The next morning, she was gone. Just like that, 15 years ended without a fight, without tears, without closure. Only silence remained. I went about my day. I made coffee, went to work, kept my head down. Everyone around me noticed something was off, but I kept my composure. Nobody needed to know, not yet. That evening, I sat alone in the house we had built together. Her absence was obvious. Empty spaces, quiet corners, and a hollow air filled every room. But the longer I sat there, the more I began to realize something important. If she never loved me, then maybe I had been carrying the weight of this marriage alone all along. The pain was sharp, but it was also clarifying. I wasn't losing a partner. I was shedding an illusion. I had been devoted to someone who had only ever given me fragments of herself. Days turned into weeks, and though the sting remained, a strange strength began to grow in me. I had survived the worst betrayal, not through rage, but through silence and self-control. Friends eventually found out, and many asked why I hadn't tried to fight for her. My answer was simple. You can't fight for someone who never truly stood by you in the first place. Instead of wasting energy on her, I poured it into myself. I worked out more, focused on my career, reconnected with friends I had neglected. Piece by piece, I started to rebuild. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that my nod at the table had been more powerful than any outburst. It was the moment I refused to let her break me. She expected me to collapse, to beg, to plead. Instead, I gave her calm acceptance. That silence haunted her more than anything else could have. Months later, word reached me that her relationship with her ex had already begun crumbling. The man she ran back to wasn't the savior she imagined. I wasn't surprised. By then, though, I didn't care. I had already closed that chapter. I had already learned that my worth was not defined by her love, or lack of it. Looking back, her words were cruel, but they gave me a gift. They freed me from a marriage built on lies. They pushed me toward a future where I could find someone who truly valued me. The silence I gave her wasn't weakness. It was strength. It was me refusing to let her dictate my worth with a single sentence. Now, when I think of that night, I don't see it as the end of something. I see it as the beginning of me finally living without illusions. Her words hurt, but my silence was louder. And in the end, it was my silence, not her betrayal, that defined how the story ended.